It's July 28th, 2022, and this is the weekly Backdrop Developer Meeting. We get together every week to talk about priorities facing the Backdrop project and community. Yeah, we've got some exciting things that have happened in the past week to report on. Let's do some introductions before we get started. My name is Nate Lampton, quick sketch on the internet, calling from Oakland, California, and I am a core committer for the Backdrop project. We'll do some introductions here. We'll go to Tim and then Joseph.
I am Tim Erickson. I am St. Paul Tim. I am on the project management committee, and I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota.
Thanks, Tim. Joseph and then Robert.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm a developer from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Thanks, Joseph. Robert and then Jen.
Robert Lang, web folder on the internet from Altadena, California.
Thanks, Robert. Jen, and then finally Joseph, or Justin, sorry.
Jen Lampton, joining from Oakland, California.
Thanks, Jen. And Justin?
Justin Christopherson, joining from Denver, Colorado.
Excellent. Welcome. Yeah, I was just in Colorado last week, but it was a busy time. But it's beautiful out there, but hot, like much of the country right now. Much of the world, I should say, actually. All right. Let's see. Before we go too much further, we'll do a little Contrib and community update. Jen, I think there's a new module to report on. Can you introduce it?
Sorry, I needed to unmute myself. Yes. So in the last week, we have a new version of the Forum Next Generation module. This is Forum NG from Drupal. There's now a backed up version and it has a stable release out.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, on the personal front, I'm excited to say that my first paid backdrop project starts next week, so I'm very excited about that. So I know that at the very least I'll have to work on the Geshe filter module, which is like a code syntax highlighter. It's kind of old school, but it's very capable as a text filter. Probably lots of other things too, as you know. I think anybody, when they build out an entirely new site, you know, there's always just one thing or two things that need to come over. So very excited about that possibility. Let's see. We have a forum post that people post to every week under forum.backdropcms.org. Indigo Zella posted the only topic for today, which is progress on our continuous integration for GitHub Actions for core. So last week we talked about PHP Stan, static code analysis tool that basically checks like the execution of your PHP code. I mean, obvious things like missing semicolons would clearly show up, but also things like if you're using object-oriented code, if your signatures are differing between different classes, then it would pick that up. Or if you're incorrectly using certain PHP functions or using them in a deprecated way, it can identify those issues without actually running the code. It literally just reads the code and attempts to parse it and identifies problems that could potentially be inside of your code base. So this is really excellent because especially as we move towards like new PHP versions, I believe that we can simply tell PHP Stan to scan the code at a new PHP version level, like 8.2 or 8.3 when those come out. And it would check our entire code base for compatibility. Maybe it wouldn't be, 100% accurate, but I really would love, you know, being able to have that capability to just find everything all at once with an automated tool without needing to actually execute it, without needing to even install Backdrop. So it's pretty cool. Let's see, I'll share my screen to see where we are with this. So okay, so here we go. So this is the PHP Stan work. She has moved the neon files. I'm not actually sure what neon is, but it's the configuration, it seems like, for PHP Stan. And on the execution, or on the GitHub action, this is the way the errors pop up. But this is really cool. Now for the cool part. It puts in your pull request comments line by line any of the problems that it's found. That's pretty cool. An undefined property out of nothing. Yeah, that's cool. I'm a little bit a little bit scared how many things it'll pop up, but I'm guessing from the way that this is implemented currently, it looks like it's only applying it to new lines of code. But this, yeah, this could
Yeah,
actually.
look at the last comment. So PHP Stan can generate its own file that says like ignore everything that's already there, and then it'll only analyze new stuff from now on. Isn't that cool?
This line here that I'm looking at, this part.
Yeah, that's what's generating.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
baseline.
that's the command to generate the baseline files.
For legacy code. Yeah, but this is oh. So will it not work on existing files, like because they'll be ignored, or will it work on new lines that are added to existing files?
So if you go to the if you scroll up and go to the actual files, you could look at the baseline, and it basically has a description of like this error on this line of this file.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean like the actual files themselves.
I don't. You mean
from the pull request in the
Yes.
in the code that's being proposed for Backdrop core?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hang on.
if
So
you
here's
scroll
the pull.
up,
Here's the pull request. The
right,
files changed. Okay.
and then you go to yeah. So it ignores a specific error on a specific line.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so it just, those are the auto-generated files. So once we edit the code, then errors will start showing up.
I see. So this is generated once from that script, but then it's committed, and so in the future, if the number of times that something increases or decreases, you might manually modify this number.
Right.
Or fix the problem.
Yeah, well,
I
if you fix the problem, then you probably would decrement the number, or yeah, remove it entirely.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, this yeah, because what I'm worried about is that there's lots of things like this particular example, undefined properties, for example, where a lot of modules just like tack stuff on to like the node object, for example, and those properties aren't defined anywhere. And yeah, we'd need to find a way to start defining them.
Right.
Which
the other
would
one,
be great.
the other example that's visible right there is that it says there's no return method, but or it doesn't return a string, but it actually does return a string.
Yeah.
It's just that basically it assumes that if all of your return statements are in, if all your return statements are in if statements, then there's a chance it could run through the function without hitting those return statements and return a bool instead of a string. So your return type is actually mixed in this case.
Yeah, I see it here. Is that on line in between line 23 and 24, there should be a return empty string, or your definition should say string or null. Yep. Yeah, still pretty cool. I think you know, for something like this, I think we should see how well it works. And so I would be in favor of merging this because we can always ignore the checks. That wouldn't be ideal, but it's possible.
Right now, it ignores all of them. So if we merged it in as it is, we would get no feedback until we changed something that was bad. And then we would start getting feedback on what we changed. But we could also spend time working through the list of errors we get and see if we want to fix any of those first. Or we could just have a follow-up issue that's like, see if we can resolve any of these errors.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like
things like the number, like undefined properties, if you needed to fix something and you just reference that undefined property another time, that might increment the number of times that a problem is encountered, where it's not really a new problem. It's just you're modifying some of the existing code that's in place, and that might increment the count.
Yeah.
So it might result in some like false positives as far as like, especially because it's new, people might be like, how do I fix this? You know, and
Be like, that's not your fault.
Lead to a little bit of frustration. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because they're gonna be fixing things, but things that aren't their fault they're gonna be held accountable for. Yeah.
This could be a good way of creating a whole lot of good first issue tags in the issue queue.
It's true.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I got a survey this week from someone that was doing a research paper on GitHub's good first issues, and like asked just a survey about like how much do you think these things impact new users that are filling out good first issues. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Good first issues, I'm really a big fan. I really like how it stretches beyond the backdrop community into like a wider software ecosystem. Anyway, this looks great. I do have some concerns, but I think the best way to address those is to try it out and then see if we have any big problems. Okay, and not content with that, Indigo is also pushing forward PHP-CS, creating an updated set of rules for PHP-CS. This is kind of the big holdup. So this issue here, add a GitHub action to run PHP-CS. And unlike PHP Stan, which is about the execution of the code and compatibility with PHP versions, PHP-CS is about code style, like tabs versus spaces, indentation, capitalization of variables, stuff that is, I mean, for the most part, kind of aesthetic. But it's important for a project our size to have consistency in our code styles so that people aren't always like changing strings back and forth from one style to another. So anyway, so Indigo Zella, she's filed a new pull request. And instead of trying to figure out where to put the repository, she basically says, why don't I just put them in a temporary repository while we figure that out, which is a great idea. Great solution to the problem. Let's see. Postpone the whole thing. And so in the meantime, she has made a new repository. So she put it under her own account, which is totally fine. Best place for it. And started setting up some sniffs for the way that things work. And I'm really excited that she has started or upgraded this to PHP-CS. She says tested with 3.5, but should be 3.7 compatible. and 3.7.1 is the very latest version. So this is very exciting because it's like everything that we need to like really get this moving forward. It's pretty great. I'm not quite sure what she's asking for here. Also, that means no more composer. Okay, so this is good things. Yes, that's great. Bad thing, most of the comment rules are gone. That's fine. I think we talked about this once before, that my preferred approach to this was it's better that we work with the latest version of PHPCS and start with a small set of rules and then grow that set of rules to be larger and larger as time goes on, than to get locked into an old version of PHPCS that just copies all of the old legacy rules from Drupal. So yeah, I think this is looking great. This is this is exactly what I'd been hoping we move towards.
We want it in ops.
Yeah.
Where do we put it?
I think that that's the best place. I immediately like the way that this is structured, that this is absolutely nothing except for the coding standards. It's not a project. It's not like a it's not a module or a theme or anything like that. So I don't think that it should be in Backdrop Contrib. And I think this was our holdup about where does it live. Previously it existed as part of coder module.
Coder review.
Yeah. Coder review. Yeah, and instead I think that it should be put in Backdrop Ops. And coder review probably still includes its rules for PHPCS, which are more comprehensive but require the old version of PHPCS. That's all fine, I think. I mean, for the time being, it would be nice if there was one single set of rules that everybody followed. But as far as improving the core development experience, I think that this is a better way to go than to start pulling in coder module and using an old version of PHPCS.
Yeah. Peter also said he likes this idea because then he can use this for B. And if Jeff wants to use this for Drush, then you could choose or not to for other projects. So
yeah, it's gonna be a lot more versatile, and it will be a lot less awkward than pulling in an entire Backdrop Contrib module that you won't use just to strip out the code, just to strip out the PHPCS rules. So this is definitely a lot better. Yeah, let's see what this looks like. The actual action. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. The PHPCS like general configuration is in the GitHub directory. I was kind of expecting this to be part of the repository, but
I think that's a list of which rules we're using.
yeah, this looks like its overall configuration. Let's see, where's the repository? Here's the repository. So let's see if this rule set is kind of the same. Yeah, so this rule set is actually the same as this one here. It might be, yeah, well, I should post a comment asking like, hey, we've got the same file in two places. Which one should we actually use? There might be some good reason why we might want this XML file, the general configuration, like in core that is slightly different than this one that is the general rule set. So here we go. So this is the actual rule itself. We say, yeah, we use setup PHP, same as our other actions. We request the tool PHPCS with version 3.7. We do a checkout. And then, oh, interesting. There's another action here for run PHPCS. Huh, that's pretty cool. Let's go look at that. Oh, excellent. So same sort of thing. It does this kind of per line commentary. Oh, this is so great. I remember early attempts at trying to use PHP-CS. You know, first of all, the initial ones would just like have a report. You know, you check the action and look at the output of it. It would fail for some reason. You go look at the action and then you figure out, you read the log and find the failure. We tried doing things that like also posted comments to the issue, but they also were a little, I mean, they were difficult and you know, you had to set up keys and things like that to make it so that the action could actually write a comment. And even then, we never got this per line functionality like this. It was just like comments down at the bottom of the issue. This is way better. Yeah, this is looking really, really promising. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Okay, and then just a test PHP file. Okay, so this is it actually running on the new file. This is awesome. I'm excited about this.
Didn't see
yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think this is going to be totally great. PHP Stan, I'm a little bit nervous about because it could cause people to be frustrated because they're getting flagged on stuff that wasn't their fault. This, on the other hand, if you're modifying a line that has coding standards problems, you should probably fix it. So yeah, I like this quite a lot. And plus it'll be a lot easier for people to fix these things like, oops, I did tabs versus spaces. And anything that shortens that feedback cycle, even if it's an automated system, leads to like more engaged developers and like that feeling that's, you know, that, you know, it's going to be ready by the time an actual human looks at it. This is great. Awesome work, Indigo Zella. Very excited about both of those issues. Yeah, let's find a place for the sniffer rules. I think backdrop ops is it's definitely the best place for it, or maybe not definitely, but it's the best place that we have. So, yeah, this looks great. Okay, do you guys have any thoughts or comments on those things?
Do you have any concern about the name of the repository?
Are you moving it?
No, well, I can't because it's Indigo Zella's, but I forked it into the Contrib group and made her an admin. But I didn't know if she wanted to know if the name was okay.
Yeah, so
thoughts on that.
I don't really know. What's the name that you're thinking of?
Well, her current repository is named phpcs_backdrop, which is perfectly fine by me.
Well, that's the name of it under her own account because it's under
Yeah.
backdrop ops. I would say backdrop
Just
dash
phpcs.
phpcs. Yep.
Okay.
That's what I would think is the best way to go. I'm kind of like I'm waffling if it should be called like PHPCS rules or something like that, but I think let's just call it PHPCS. You know, all of our other repositories don't say exactly what they are. Like we don't call it Pantheon upstream. You know, we just call it Pantheon.
Okay, and you like what it contains now?
Yeah.
And maintenance, who should I add onto the repository? I put Indigo Zella on there. Should I add Peter? Do you want to be on it? Anyone else who's going to need access to that?
Is Peter listening to us? Not in the room.
I don't know, but he said that he was going to want to use it for B, so I thought maybe he doesn't need access to it, but I thought if he wanted it, that'd be fine. I'll just ask in the issue who wants access to it. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds great. All right. Anything else on GitHub Actions and PHPCS and PHP Stan? I think this is great, as I've said 5 times already. All right, let's go on. Backdrop Core, we've had some excitement this past week. Last week, we had just released Backdrop 1.22.1 at just like hours before, or the day before the meeting, because it was on the previous Wednesday. But I made a mistake. When we were cherry picking the commits back out of the main branch or the 1.x branch into the 122.x branch, I accidentally pulled in an update hook into the 122 branch. So the 122.1 release, which was a security release, when you ran update.php, it told you that core now includes entity reference and that you could remove your copy of entity reference. That is incorrect. That will be true in the next version that comes out in September, but is not true yet. And so the update hook itself didn't do any damage, but it posted a message if you ran update.php with incorrect information, telling you that you could remove entity reference when you shouldn't yet. So we tried to quickly follow up. The next day we released 122.2. Which just emptied out that update hooks and removed the incorrect message. So for anyone working to update their sites because of the security update, skip 122.1, go right to 122.2, which correctly doesn't tell you to remove a module that you shouldn't yet. Yeah, a little bit of just an accident on my part. I think Alejandro, RG Piano, posted a comment saying, hey, we should start running our tests also against each branch before we do the release, which is a great idea. I think that GitHub Actions now, it didn't used to allow this, but we can now manually execute tests by going to the Actions tab and then just like clicking a button, say execute this workflow. And I think that would be a great idea for us to expand the times at which the action runs. Like right now, I think it's on pull requests and maybe on merges, but I don't think it's actually on merges. We should expand that to just have a manual execution as well, and then add that to our checklists so that when we run the deployment or when we tag the release, there should be a step in there that says run the tests before we tag the release. Yeah, I'm not sure that would have actually solved this problem with the incorrect cherry pick, but we ended up having to fix that merge problem when we fixed the update hook. So it might have made it easier. All right. There were also 2 other bug fixes that came out in the 122 release, like documentation fixes. So it's great to get those things out there as well. That's it for the 122 branch. 123, the next version of Backdrop, minor version of Backdrop that will be coming out September 15th. August is just around the corner. It's probably about time to start talking about feature freeze dates. So feature freeze will be at the end of August. It looks like the end of August lands squarely in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. August 31st is Wednesday, and feature freeze therefore will be September 1st on a Thursday. So I don't think that there's any, it looks like this will be a pretty normal set of dates as far as when feature freeze happens. So we've got roughly a month to wrap up any objectives that we're shooting for the 123 release. The biggest feature so far in 123 is the inclusion of entity reference, issue 1301. We have an issue that we discussed last week, issue 2300, about file URI. Oh, hang on. There's something I wanted to mention on this issue because it's again, it's really excellent. So here's the issue. File URI not consistent with other entity types. The overall pull request is really straightforward. Yeah, only 4 files changed and only 1 line kind of in each that we changed the return of, this is the main change here. Instead of returning the URI to a file, we now return the path to the file's page, file/file ID. RG Piano listened to the dev meeting from last week and followed through on this request that we audit all of Contrib to see if the URI method is used anywhere, to see how much impact this change would have on Contrib. And his full audit of all of Contrib found no instances of that method being used, which is excellent. There are 2 instances in core, both of which are already addressed or left as they were before in the case of tokens in the pull request. So this is looking great. It seems that, you know, this is an API change because it's changing the return value, but it looks like we can proceed with confidence that at least Contrib won't be affected. It's still possible custom code could be affected, but I've said here that I think that if there ever was a time to change it, it's now, because we have the major new feature of entity reference being included in core to justify why such a change like this is necessary. So yeah, very exciting. Herb is is asking, hey, can we get an R2EC here? I think that yeah, there's still a little bit of nervousness there because it's not actually marked R2VC quite yet. Yeah, but that's looking really great. Continuing to make it so that we can push forward entity reference functionality in core. Let's see. There's a number of other issues that are in the 123 milestone. Advocates for 3 of them are in the room at the moment, but I am not sure that there's any progress on any of the ones for which we are advocates. Yeah, Tim, any update on title comments?
No progress. Just waiting for me to get back to it.
Okay, that's issue 4569.
Yep.
Jen, you're the advocate for field group functionality, issue 647.
No update on field group this week.
Okay, and I'm the advocate, or had been the advocate, for issue 5348, allowing forms to set custom validation messages on required fields. Yeah, my pull request is out there. It just needs review. It's still sitting out there as like a I shouldn't be RTBCing my own issue, so issue 5348, if someone has a chance to do a code review and take a look at that, that would be appreciated. I see Robert on his way. Okay, let's see. That's sort of it for the agenda today. Does anyone have other topics or things they'd like to discuss?
I have maybe a quick thing. It just occurred to me last week that with the reference module sort of merged now, it might be a good time to review the our survey. And so just real quickly, or let people know that they can.
You took the screen share, but oh, there it goes. Okay.
There we go. let people know, one, that they can update their votes as things change, as their priorities change, or as the issue queue changes. This is what the survey looks like right now. Removing the field group, or the not the field group, the reference module one. So it did, like our top 10, I think it bumped one more up onto the list, add option to globally disabled comments on a topic. But I was looking at this right before the meeting, and it occurred to me that we've talked about this one before, and I feel like this is the most popular one, and I feel like we've decided that we need some more information, don't we, about like how do we move this one forward? Because it's like, Jen, I seem to recall you suggesting that what we needed to do was like ask the people who voted for this, like what they have in mind, because isn't this just too broad of a?
Well, this is a very specific recommendation to like add an icon font, and
Right.
It sort of derailed somewhere through the middle to like a different thing where it isn't actually a font. It's just people want icons for stuff.
Right.
And I don't know if people who are voting on this issue are voting on, oh, I want an icon font in core, or if they're voting on sort of where the issue ended up. So,
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Joseph.
So there's also been some discussion about should we even use an icon font, because we have SVG
Right.
support in HTML now.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of different discussions about this. And I think what people really want is like an easy way to put icons on their headings or blocks or stuff.
Right. So, yeah. How can we move this forward? Do we define what we think it, like, I think, Joseph, I have a hunch that you're right there, that it isn't that people necessarily want an icon font. They thought that was the solution to their problem, right? The problem they want to solve is an easy way to add icons.
We don't have another solution for that yet. So
well,
there's a lot of like, there might be solutions in the
Right.
future. There might be stuff but we don't have another one yet. So I don't know if what people are voting on is like, should we invest in all of the other potential options, or to just go with what we have? So that it's, yeah.
Right.
We need to figure out. I mean, another thing too would be like, maybe we do some due diligence on the other options and come out with like, okay, we actually have something for people to choose between A and B. And that would be much easier for people to make a decision, because right now people are like, I just want an icon. That's really hard for them to weigh.
How do we add the icons to the admin bar currently, or the menu items on?
We do it with
config
CSS for specific menus.
Individual selectors and then background images.
So I seem to recall looking at a pull request recently that involved an icon. Oh, I know. I think we wanted to add an icon for the hide comment title. And the question was like how to do that. And I debated, like, should I do this in a way, add the link to like a library of existing core icons? And as I sort of dug around, I'm not sure that exists. It looks to me like there is one directory that has a bunch of icons in it, but then there are other icons that are just scattered in other places. If I'm correct, right? That it isn't like we've been accumulating an icon library in one organized way, I don't think, in core.
No, I think everything is in MISC. But we have also inherited like some icons from Drupal, and then there's a bunch of stuff that we like added in Backdrop. And then when we added them, we added like several different versions. There's some that are like different sizes, there's some that are different colors. So there's it's a little bit of a mess. I think we even have a meta issue to like clean up images in Backdrop core somewhere.
Sure, but in my pull request right now, I'm adding an icon, and I'm not adding it to MISC, right? I'm adding it to my module, to the comments module. And is that the way that should happen? And I raised that question at one point and got kind of shrugged shoulders like that.
Yeah.
And that's why and that's why it ended up where it is. I debate that. Well, that's how I sort of got into this. Is I was thinking I should put this somewhere else because maybe it could be used for other things. And why would, if it's used for other things, why would we keep it in the comment module? That doesn't seem the right place for it. So I don't know.
Yeah, for now it kind of is. Admin bar's icons aren't in MISC; they're in admin bar module / images. So yeah,
Are systems still in MISC? Are they in system module?
our
For messages.
Oh, for messages. Yeah, because system module provides messages. And so admin bar provides the admin bar, so that's where its icons are.
But then why are they in MISC?
Oh, I see. The
yeah, it's just I think that we don't have a pattern. I think we just
well, anything, yeah, system module for something that's like, messages, that's potentially not really owned by a module, or I don't know.
Would it be possible if we created some kind of an icon library? Is it possible in this release of Backdrop to consolidate and use a single source of icons, or would that be too confusing, and would that have to wait?
I don't think we have enough time to even figure out how to organize things, let alone reorganize everything in core by the next version.
No, I'm saying in 1.0 or 1.x. Not in the minor release. Is that a 1x or a 2x
thing? Good question.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to remove existing images because they could potentially be referenced from other things right now.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that's how we ended up with the Drupal stuff still in there too. Like the spinners and stuff.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that our most popular request right now is sort of undefined in a way, like what the solution is, and which makes it hard for somebody to solve it. So it's like the next step in this, if somebody wanted to get involved in this issue, it seems would be to help us, one, define exactly what problem we're trying to solve. I think we know the problem, we just don't know if it is an icon font is a solution or if there's a better solution. Is that right? Okay. I might try and update that ticket right now with that information. Like, this seems to be the blocker on this issue, is that we need to settle on what a solution would be.
And Wes there's another issue. Oh man, I don't even know if it's the other issue, but it's on that issue. Right. Where Wes wrote like a proof of concept for CSS SVG alternative, but it would again be, we're only providing the 10 icons in core, not the everybody wants a way to add an icon that's not in core, not used in core solution. So I think maybe, yeah, so it's hard to know whether we should invest in that because we don't know if that's what people want.
Right. Well, I would think if we define it as people just want an easy way to add icons, that if we sort of built our own icon library and made it available to other people, that would be a step in that direction. So,
well, no, because they would only get the 10 icons we provided.
But we could, so we've got more than 10 icons in core. We could gradually, we could start to accumulate them in one place and build up that library. I think.
So do we want to invest in that or just use a solution that already exists?
That's true. Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
that
so
issue is hard.
Okay.
Go ahead. What if we just, so rather than providing the icons themselves, we provide a way for modules to add icons. For example, there's already a module for Font Awesome that adds the library. What if we just added a render API element that said icon, arrow, name of the icon, like icon is gear, and then you have a module that specifies here I have a gear icon, and it just kind of gets the thing from your module. Basically,
yeah, I mean,
we provide an API for icon fonts rather than adding an icon font.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's another option too, but like the one advantage to having an icon font is that all your icons are going to match. Now
Yeah,
have
if you
like
wanna-
here install these 8 Contrib modules that'll add icons. They're not going to be a cohesive set. And it's the
Well-
same issue with like if we only provide 10 in core or whatever, adding the additional ones and getting them to match is going to be hard. Or replacing them. I don't know. I mean, we already have solutions in Contrib too. So maybe
this is something we don't want to do in core, just because
Yeah.
it's happening in the just because it's winning in the survey doesn't mean we necessarily need to do it. So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I brought up the survey one just to remind people that things the landscape is changing a bit, and that people should go ahead and update their votes. And two, then we talked about that issue. But that's it. I'm done.
Thanks, Tim. You're right. All right. Anything else? I think at one point, just to look back, I was a mentor once for a summer of code project for, ancient Drupal 666 probably, for the icon module, which
there's an icon mod.
there was at one point, yeah, that totally went as deep as you could possibly go as far as like building an abstract system for managing icons. And in the end of it, both the original author and myself were like, well, that was interesting because like we built all this architecture in the end we're like, I don't like it.
Oh, here, I found the issue.
Yeah.
Issue number 2814.
For
Meta
Drupal.
icon cleanup in core, if anyone is
Oh,
interested.
no, this is the backdrop issue. Okay.
Yeah. No, not your icon module.
Not my old icon module. Yeah. I don't know, maybe we could do it better, but any abstraction that we add for icons, the treatment shouldn't be worse than the disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a consistent way of putting an icon in a spot, whether it's a font or an SVG or a PNG?
No.
No.
I mean, not really.
So
mean,
we would essentially have to style them all. We would have to provide 3 styles and apply the correct one based on the file format of the thing you're putting in there.
Well, if we supported all 3 file formats, but I think that if we were trying to provide some API moving forward, we probably would settle on possibly just one. Even like Font Awesome, which of course is a font. If you wanted to support Font Awesome as your official icon set, you can acquire all of those icons in an SVG format, and then do it that way. But yeah, the way that these things are applied is so different. Like Font Awesome is like you do an I tag and then give it a particular class. But other things like SVGs, you can either place inline or as an image tag or as a background CSS property. So you can just go lots of different ways with it.
Where's content CSS property?
All right. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, thanks everybody for being here this week. And thanks for the discussion. Indigo Zala, great work on moving forward those GitHub CI or GitHub Actions things. Sounds like, Jen, you're moving the repository potentially.
No, I just forked it and added everyone, but I don't know if that's the easiest way to allow someone to move something into ops. But
yeah, that's actually a good question. I think because you have to be an owner of both the source and the destination, I think, to move something.
Yeah.
We also could just clone it and then push it back up. Like you don't need to use GitHub to move it. And that would do the job. Yeah, because you don't really, yeah. It's definitely not a fork. It should definitely be a copy. Okay.
Does that mean I should unfork it?
You shouldn't use the fork button in GitHub to move it into backdrop ops.
All right. I will undo that.
Yeah, that would be bad, because then it would permanently think of itself when anybody forks our repository, it'll fork Indigo Zella's instead. It'll fork the original, not us.
Okay.
You might need to delete it and then
Need to create a
Create it.
repository.
Tell you what, I'm going to stop the live stream and we can keep talking about this.
okay.
Okay.